Coach, what are you seeing from this wide receiver group? Is it pretty deep, or how do you look at it?
Young group, but guys that are fighting through. There's going to be adversity, and as a coach, that's all you can ask is guys to give everything they have. I tell them all the time, the only thing you have to do is go hard. Every mistake you make is my fault. I'm either coaching it or I'm allowing it, but effort, that's on you. So I'm proud of those guys right now.
Gavin is a guy that's been through a lot. What are you seeing from him in terms of getting back on the field, and just what does he look like?
A guy that's getting his confidence back. When you had 2 injuries, back-to-back years, that can affect you. I'm constantly praying for him. He's praying also, and I got to give him credit, pushing through that, not worrying about it. I've been in that situation before, and that sticks in the back of your mind. So that he comes out here every day and he go to work, I really respect him for that.
Any other guys you think are having a really good spring?
Yes. Yeah.
You'd like to name?
Yes. Other than Gavin, all the receivers. Yep. That's the guy who's sticking out. All.
Seth's one that's got maybe the next most experience, or is he?
Yes, Seth
kind
is
of a veteran, I guess.
Yes, Seth making plays. Again, all the receivers are making plays. And you look at the roster, you say, oh, it's a young roster, but I played by the name a guy by the name of Percy Harvin, who was a freshman. And I feel like if we didn't have Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin, we wouldn't have won that national championship, to be honest. So he's a young guy, but he's making plays just like the rest of the receivers. All those guys are stepping up. So, like I said, I take my hat off to him. I just got here, but I can say I love this room already.
What is Monterey? He had that big play in the Sugar Bowl. What has he brought to the group?
I think that was a confidence booster for Monterey.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't here, but you could see it, the way he walked, the way he talked. And I talked to his parents this weekend, and I love Monterey. I'm in a position now where I'm the new guy, and I'm learning the plays, and Monterey is helping me. So anytime you have a guy like that, you can't help but love him.
When you come into a new group, how much do you lean on what you can see from what they've done in the past, and how much of it is just kind of a clean slate?
It's a clean slate, and again, not to talk about myself, but I went through 3 coaching changes when I was a player, and so that's all I ask for, and that's the main thing that I pray to God about for me to help them, but to always remember what it was like to be 18 to 24 years old. And I think sometimes we forget that, so I want everyone to start with a clean slate. I want everyone's self-esteem to be high, because that's the main thing. If guys trust you and their self-esteem is high, then there's no limit to what they could do.
What's the first thing you try to establish when you come into a new group?
A relationship. Everywhere I go, a relationship. That's what I love about Baylor. Not to talk about anyone in the wrong way, but when we played football years ago, it was a little different. Coach gave you tough love, but it was mostly about football. So for me, I try to talk about more than just football. There's an old saying, to be trusted is a greater compliment than it is to be loved. So if you build a relationship and these guys trust you, again, there's no limit to what you could do.
Have you seen the group make strides this spring?
On and off the field. A guy who sticks out is Javon Gibson. This guy's a AB student. Shoot, I think he only has 1 B right now. He's going hard in the weight room. He's playing every position on the football field. We met this Sunday after I got from church, and we were just talking about life. So to see a young man like that making strides in the right direction, all I can do is ask God to continue to help me. It's not about me, it's about them.
Is there something that you like about having a young group of receivers as opposed to maybe an older group?
Wow, you might have got me with that one. I don't really think it matters if they're young or older room. Again, it goes back to trust. If guys could trust you, then you have them. But if they don't trust you and you have an older room, that's usually what happens. Like, oh man, this guy don't know what he's talking about. Same thing can happen with a young room. So trust and relationship, that's the biggest thing. So it doesn't matter if the room is young or old. It's just building that relationship.
In terms of that trust, is that something where you talked about they know that you know what you're talking about? Do you have to come in having examples and being like, when I did this or when I did this, or how do you build that sort of trust?
Back to Monterey. So Monterey is one of those guys that like to ask the national championship, the Super Bowl questions. And for me, I'll be honest, it makes me uncomfortable just because I'm that type of guy. I'm laid back, I'm quiet. And I try not to, but whatever gets them to believe in you, to trust you, hey, I'll talk about it. Not during meetings, or it has to be on our free time.
Are you seeing the guys build connections with Gary and Blake?
Yes. I'd say you can see why the guys won the Sugar Bowl, but this is a new year, 0-0. You know, so there's talent all over the field, all over the quarterback room. So I think the big thing is these guys put time in with the quarterbacks on their own. You know, that's the big thing. So again, the more time you spend with someone, the more you begin to trust them.
I'm curious, whenever a new assistant comes in, what drew you to this position and what draws you to Dave Aranda in particular?
So I'm gonna tell you the truth. So I was at University at Buffalo at Maurice Linquish, who actually played here, who was really good friends with Sean Bell, Coach Bell, and Coach Mo would talk about Baylor a lot. And I played with guys like Paul Mosley and Daniel Sepulveda in the NFL, and so I knew about Baylor, but just hearing the stories, how it was a Christian university and everything it had to bring. And it was towards the end of our season at Buffalo, and I always do the same thing. I pray and I fast and ask God to help me to become a better football coach, a better husband, a better father, just a better human being, but my relationship to grow with him. And not asking for anything, but usually when that happens, my blessings overflow. I was praying, I was fasting, and I was on an airplane headed to Tampa to recruit, and Coach Aranda called me and he left a message. And when the plane landed, I saw I had this number that I didn't know, and I listened to the voicemail, and it was him asking me to call him back. So really, that's kind of how I've gotten every job. Just continue to be the person that God intended for me to be, and my blessings have overflowed.
What was that like with Mo? Was that the first year with him?
Yes. Same way I got the job with Coach Mo.
Yeah.
I was actually at Universal. Me, my wife, my daughter, my niece were at Universal, and like I said, I didn't have a job. I was praying, I was fasting, and Coach Mo called me when I was there, asked me to interview, and then he called me back later and asked me if I wanted the job. And for me, I feel like it helped me grow all the way around. So I love the opportunity I had there. I love Coach Mo. He is a great human being. He's a great coach. And, I mean, that's a brother for the rest of my life.